Hey guys, I just decided to do a quick, it won't be quick, sorry, that's a bit of an exaggeration. A pop-up live. I'm just going to put up this banner. Why isn't it showing? There we got my beautiful, I'm sitting on my bed, so it's a bit wobbly, but I will be Dame Darcy. This is going to work. The Queen Alice Tarot by Dame Darcy. There we go. It's staying this time. So, hey Heather. So I ordered this, right? I thought I was getting what I figured was a newer printing of it, right? Whereby it's the exact same box, but it opened up here from the side with a magnetic closure, right? Hey Maya, there she is. But in fact, this one is probably maybe the first printing because it opens from the bottom. Hey Shari. And then this box comes out. And then inside in this box were the cards. And not only that, but the printed booklet. Because with the newer one that I thought I was getting, there's no book. You have to go in, print it all out yourself and cut it up and piece it together and all that sort of stuff. So I actually got the first printing, I believe, with the book, and the box is slightly different. Also, actually, I wanted to show you on my phone. Wait now. So the one I thought I was getting, this is the backs with a kind of a turquoise background. Whereas the one I got, this first printing, oh, there we go. See how different they are? So this is kind of like, it's like a sky with clouds, whereas this is just a turquoise back, do you know? So first when I opened it, I was like, oh, it's the older one with the different backs and blah, blah, blah. But actually, these cards, I believe, are much better than the one I thought I was getting, because all the deck reviews I watched, people were finding it seemed impossible to riffle shuffle because they must be a thicker card stock, whereas these are an absolute dream to riffle shuffle, and I'm a riffle shuffler, so I'm delighted. So hey Leah, hey Shari, hey Heather, hey Maya, hey Flowing, thanks a million everyone for being here. Also thanks to as you know, a few weeks ago I put up a video asking for donations for this deck because it was a more expensive one. And I got a donation from Shari, from Maya, and from Rain, and I bought the deck, right? So, first of all, thank you girls so much for making the donations. I have my deck in my hands and I'm absolutely delighted. I just came home there an hour and a quarter ago and I was here. Also, an idea Maya had come up with was that when people make a donation, I offer the reading to someone else who maybe can't afford a reading. So there is now 4 readings available for claim. So if anyone watching this now or watching back would like a reading, please do get onto me and claim one. What is up with that? I've noticed several newer decks coming out with the guidebook. We have to pay extra for it. Sometimes it's more expensive than the cards. It's insane, right? Because like I said, this must be a first printing, right? And the little book was with it. Now, first of all, right, the deck is not, or sorry, the book does not explain the images of the cards, right? It's only general keywords and stuff, and general meanings that are in this guidebook. So it's not relating to the images on the cards anyway, right? But when paying so much money for decks like this, for indie decks, one would at least expect the printed book like this, right? Whether it's good or not, right? So I am delighted with the book. However, like I said, the one I thought I was getting was a one where you download PDF from the website and print it out yourself and cut it up and put it all together and spend all this ridiculous time putting it together, which now I had actually printed it because, like I said, I didn't realize I was getting this deck. But anyway, this version, I should say. Hey, Ramon. Hey, Hershey. So, guys, I'm not going to show, so this is the backs, right? I'm not going to show these cards in the order that one normally shows them in. I have put these in the order and here's my document with them all written out. I've put them in the order of the stories, right? So the first 45 cards, um, enjoy your coffee, Hershey. It is 2:15 p.m. here, so I'm just after a big mug of tea, and I decided I'd sit down and do this before my husband comes home, um, because then there's noise all over the house when he comes home. So the first 45 cards are from the first story, and the rest of the cards are from the second story. So I'm going to go through them. This could be slightly longer than a regular deck review, because I'm going to be explaining to you where the cards come from in the story, right? So enjoy your coffees, lads. So I have put the Empress card first, right? Because in my mind, this is an image of Dame Darcy herself, right? The Empress is all about someone who's kind, caring, who looks after everyone, who grows. Hey, Karen, who grows her own abundance and all that, right? So someone who makes a tarot deck is someone who cares about people, because he or she is putting a tarot deck out into the world to help people, to as a self-help tool, basically, right? So I have put the Empress first because in my mind it's Dame Darcy and she is the creator of the deck, right? So next I have the Hanged Man, because in most deck reviews that I watched, people think this is the Mad Hatter, but it is in fact Lewis Carroll himself, okay? So I put this second because he's the one who wrote the story. So I thought it'd be a good nod to him, as they say, to put him next. I'm so jelly of the deck and everyone who has had their first sip. Then I put the Eight of Pentacles because I heard someone saying that she reckons so. A few of these cards, right, are not original images from the story. She used her artistic license, I suppose, to kind of draw her own images that um, would make sense if they were in the story, but also it makes sense for the card meanings themselves, right? So this one, I heard someone saying she sees as if it's Dame Darcy herself, kind of just, and there's this guy pouring the ink, one of the chess pieces pouring the ink into the pentacles. So it's like her kind of creating the deck. And obviously it's Eight of Pentacles. I would read it as years. So this could have been a longer project, maybe. I don't know how long she spent doing it. Um, slightly obsessed. Do you know what? I was looking at images online of decks and I came across her, or someone was doing a reading or something with the Mermaid Tarot. And I thought, that's a very quirky looking deck. I kind of like the look of that. And then I found this one, and I'd be more into Alice than I would be into mermaids. So I was delighted when I saw this. So here's where the story starts, right? So the story starts with Alice out with her sister. Her sister's reading stories, but she's not interested. And she goes off into a bit of a dreamland herself, right? This is when she sees the rabbit running by with his pocket watch saying, I'm late, I'm late. So she decides to follow him, okay? Then she decides to jump down that rabbit hole after the white rabbit. So this black circle here is kind of showing the rabbit hole that she jumped down, okay? And there's the white rabbit himself. Okay, so there she is about to take a dive down that hole. Oh, hey, Frank. Did I miss Frank? Hey, Frank. I do. I do. I got it a while ago, a couple hours ago. The Four of Cups is her falling down the rabbit hole. So if you remember from the story, she falls down really, really, really slowly. And there's all these, as she's falling down this big well, there's um cupboards and all sorts of stuff with different things on them. So she starts taking things off shelves and all the rest of it. This is where she took down what she thought was a pot of honey, I think it was, or marmalade, one or the other. And she opened it and realized there was nothing in it and was very sad, which is Four of Cups kind of theme, and decided to try and put it back on the next shelf she would fall past. Then she ended up in the tunnel. and she saw this teeny tiny door, which she was mad to go through, but she was giant, so she wasn't going to be able to get through it. She was looking into that beautiful rose garden, belonged to the Red Queen, I believe. So this is her looking through that door. Then she found the table with the bottle on it saying "Drink me," and there was a key for the door. But she drank the liquid, which made her smaller, but she had forgotten to take the key off the table first. So then she was small, still couldn't get through the door because the key was still up on the now giant table. Okay. So then she got really fed up and really upset and sat there crying. But because she was so small and she was crying so much that she ended up sitting in this river of her own tears. So here she is as the Five of Pentacles, um, feeling left out and fed up and sorry for herself and just downright depressed. Okay. And then she also made that into the Nine of Swords. So here she is completely stressed out, thinking all sorts, not knowing where to go or what she could do next to get out of here or any of that kind of thing. And there's the bottle floating along next to her in her river of tears. Then she gets out of there eventually and she meets the dodo and all those other animals, and they have the what was it called? The some sort of a race. What was the name of that race? I forget. And I've only just read it in the story. Anyway, so much better than the Alice deck, than my Alice deck. Best thing about Barbara Moore's deck is the guidebook, which is amazing. Yes, I had that one, Karen, right? And I just found the images were absolutely beautiful, but I just found that some of the images didn't seem to kind of match the meanings of the cards kind of as well as I had hoped, you know. So I did put it up for sale, and a girl contacted me and said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm in," or she said, "Where are you? Can you post it to me? How much is postage?" And I said, "I'm in Cove." And she said, "I'm in Cove." So it was the Cove girl who bought it off me. So then she has a race with the dodo and all the birds. She wins the race, and this is the dodo handing over her prize to her. So there's that more kind of an equal give and take within this. It's not kind of, you know, they usually it's like a rich person and poorer people. Whereas here these are equals, and she's just getting her prize for winning the race with all the animals, you know. Care Bear, I just saw your sharing of our live later. I'm looking forward to that. It's in what, 3.5 hours? Um then after that race, the white rabbit runs past as well, and he starts shouting Marianne, Marianne at her. He seems to think she's his maid or something. So he's all a fluster because he has lost his, he had a pair of gloves and a fan, that was it. And he's lost them. That was it. So she follows him to his house in the hope of finding a spares that he has in his house. Or I think he asked her to go get the spares or something. So she went to his house. But of course, there was another bottle saying, "Drink me." So she drank it and she got absolutely massive and she nearly broke his house. She was all balled up inside and it's stuck in the house. And this is where he was outside, all a fluster, trying to figure out how to get her out of his house. And she threw her arm out the window, started waving her hand around outside and trying to grab at him. So this is a perfect Five of Wands, I think. Then so he started throwing stones. Him and his animal friends started throwing stones in the window at her. And the stones turned into little cakes. So she started eating the cakes, which made her smaller again. And she got out of the house. And when he was distracted, she took off. And next thing, she came across this giant puppy because she's now tiny again. So she goes looking for sticks to throw for the puppy to try and distract him so she can make her escape finally. I had a look, Frank, at that as well. The Baba Studios one, but Era, I mean, the images are beautiful. Hey, Beth. The images are beautiful in that one too, but I don't know. I just think this is the one that really I've watched so many deck reviews of this in the last week. Um, this came in a week, which was sorry, a week and 3 days, which was absolutely incredible considering we'd 2 weekends in that time and a bank holiday Monday, which was yesterday. So it's incredible that I have this deck. I'll definitely be um ordering from these people again. So yeah, so she escapes from the puppy. Then she meets the caterpillar, who is the Hierophant. Now, if you can see, she's small over here and she's giant, right? The reason being, the caterpillar says, "Who are you?" And she says, "Well, I don't quite know who I am because I've been, I've changed so much today," she said. "I don't quite know who I am," that kind of thing, right? Um, Heather, this whole story sounds like one bad acid trip. It's the most demented story. Um, hey Tom, thanks everyone for being here. Quick little story first, right? So when before I rewatched some of these versions of these movies since ordering this deck, right? So that I'd have an idea of the story, right? And I know I watched it with my grandmother as a child. Now my grandmother died when I was 10, so I was probably 7 or 8 when I watched it with her, right? And when it was over, I turned round and she was asleep and snoring. So I woke her and gave out to her for having fallen asleep. And she said I wasn't asleep, I was resting my eyes. So I said, "Right, tell me what happened." And she told me the story. So I obviously thought she was some kind of a witch or something, right? Sometime after that, and I actually don't have it to hand. I should have taken it out to show you, but I have a massive book. It's the complete works of Lewis Carroll. So the two stories are the first two stories in it. And I've written in it Miss Jackie Cotter and my address and where I bought it and what date I bought it. It was 1991 I bought it, so I was 10 and a half when I bought it, January 1991, and started reading the stories and stuff. But until recently, when I rewatched some movies, I just thought, oh my God, what an absolutely demented story. Well said, Heather. Lol. Funny, it predates LSD. It's just completely insane. I mean, this guy must have been some sort of a nutcase, Lewis Carroll, if you think about it, right? To be writing this sort of weird stuff. But anyway, um, so the Hierophant is so yeah, she meets him and he asks who she is, and she says, "I don't know who I am because I've changed so much today," and all the rest of it. Um, and at the end of the conversation, anyway, "Oi, Fatima," he tells her there's one side of the mushroom will make you smaller, one side of the mushroom will make you bigger. So she doesn't know which side, but she puts out her two arms, grabs a bit from either side, and takes him with her. Okay. Obviously, then he is also the hermit, the caterpillar. Okay. So then here she is leaving the caterpillar on his mushroom with the two bits there in her hand. One that'll make her bigger and one that'll make her smaller. So she puts them in her pocket, takes them with her for future reference when she needs to be bigger or smaller again in this demented story. Now, she did soon after take a bite and became bigger, and she was taller than the trees. She had this massively long neck, right? And she was taller than the trees. And a pigeon sitting in her nest with her eggs thought that she was a serpent and going to try to steal the eggs. So the Seven of Wands is the pigeon shouting serpent at her and her trying to defend herself, saying, "I'm not a serpent, I'm a human child," blah, 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 and explain what happened, you know. White Rabbit is a rock classic. I love the cover used in the TV show, A Discovery of Witches. Oh, I love that series. That was so cool. I think that was the only series ever made where there was only 3 seasons, and you know the way normally when something like that really good finishes, you'd be saying, "Oh, I wish they made more." But had they made more, let's face it, it would have gone to shit, like a lot of things. Usually when they go past season 4 or 5 maximum, things just go completely crap. So Yeah, they did well, I think, with that, didn't they, Heather, with the discovery of witches? So then after this serpent card, she comes upon a house where there's an extreme amount of noise inside the house, and there is a frog outside the door. And then along comes this fish with a message for the frog to give. The frog is the doorman. The fish gives the frog a message to give to the Duchess who's in the house. So Alice has this discussion with them about what's going on in the house and how did she get into the house. And the frog says, well, you'll have to sort that out yourself, kind of a thing. Um, so she has this real Three of Pentacles moment with them where they're kind of trying to work together and figure out how she's going to get into the house because she wants to see what's going on in there because there's so much noise in there. She goes in and the Duchess is nursing a baby. The cook there, who's at the top of the image, is stirring. This chapter is called Pig and Pepper, or Pepper and Pig, whichever. The cook is stirring the soup. The Duchess is nursing the baby. That's the Cheshire Cat. He belongs to the Duchess. And there's Alice on the left-hand side with all the ones watching as there's complete and utter chaos. The cook is throwing pots and pans and plates and smashing them off walls, and it's absolutely the most demented scene that there is. When she leaves there, there's actually no card depicting it, but when she leaves there, she takes the baby because she fears for the baby's safety. But as she walks off from the house, the baby turns into a pig and she puts the pig down. The pig runs off. Absolutely insane. So then she meets the Cheshire Cat properly. He kind of manifests up in the tree and she has a conversation with him. He's here depicted as the Magician card. Then he is also the Seven of Swords because he's kind of trying to lead her astray a bit here. She's asking advice, which way should I go? And he said, well, if you go that way, you'll find the March Hare, and if you go that way, you'll find the Mad Hatter. But they're both quite mad, so it doesn't matter which way you go, kind of a thing, right? White Rabbit also figured in the original Matrix movie too. Wow. Huh. X-Files, yeah. I was watching clips from a chat show last night and Scully was on it. It's from probably 10 years ago, but they were chatting to Scully and I was thinking, oh, I'd love to rewatch that. I loved it. It's the best thing ever. That's showing a rich tapestry to tap into. Yeah, maybe. But they do just get carried away, with things. So this is the Cheshire Cat now trying to lead her astray in the Seven of Swords. Then she comes across the tea party. Now, I did hear people say that her face is a bit grumpy looking in this, even though it's the Nine of Cups, which is kind of, obviously about happiness. But the fact is, the original image from the book shows her sitting there with a grumpy head on her while there's all this kind of craziness going on around the table, even though she is enjoying it and listening to the stories and all the rest of it. The image that she took this card from, her face is grumpy looking, so that's okay. Then we have the King of Cups, which is the Mad Hatter himself. So I think this is a pretty cool image for the King of Cups. Then I put the Seven of Cups in here just because there's so much chaos going on and she doesn't know where to go or what to do or anything like that. So I put the Seven of Cups there. Then she was kind of here no more. Oops. Sorry, I'm just reading comments. Don't come around no more. Tom made an awesome Mad Hatter. Then we have the Ace of Cups. So just she's overflowing with this kind of emotion and whatnot from this mad scene she's had at the party. Then she, I think, goes back into the tunnel and looks through the door again. Remember, she still hasn't got through the door into the rose garden that she wanted to go through originally. So she's looking through the door and she sees the Queen's castle. And takes a bite from the piece from the mushroom and gets small. She has the key this time and she goes through. to the Queen's castle, which she then has as the Nine of Pentacles. So there's the castle, there's the rose garden that she's going through. She meets all the talking flowers at this stage and whatnot. Up at the Queen's castle, the Red Queen, I mean, I should specify, there's this procession of people come out. So the Red King comes out with his knave next to him. So this is the Red Queen's husband, depicted here as the Emperor, which I think is a perfect image. Then there's all these entourage of the King and Queen come out, 2 by 2. So she has this depicted as the Six of Wands. They're coming out to do the croquet game. Remember the croquet game? So she has the lovers as the Red King and Queen, which I like, because even though the Red Queen is nuts and she's going around shouting off their heads to everyone, he's very much grounded and down to earth, and he's behind the scenes. When people walk away, he says, "Oh, no, don't behead them," kind of a thing, and he pardons them and lets them all go, you know. So there we have the Three of Swords with her shouting off with their heads, and I love the way the lightning is kind of coming out of the clouds there as if it's her, you know. It's really cool. And then I put the King of Wands in here as well, just because I love that this image is like proper playing card image for a king, you know. That's the actual head of the kings in playing cards. I love it. Then there was the whole stealing of the tarts, remember? So the Duchess was thrown in the dungeon or whatever. So this card actually represents the Duchess, excuse me, imprisoned. So I think that's a really cool image. Then we have, some of the queens are different. It really is, Heather, extremely well thought out. I love it. Some of the queens are just different depictions of the red and white queens from the story. So this is the Red Queen because apparently the Red Queen is the one with I haven't reread it all yet, but the Red Queen is the one who has the white rabbit. So this is just a different depiction of the Red Queen for the Queen of Pentacles. Then we have the Nine of Pentacles. So this is where she's playing croquet with the Red Queen. So they're using flamingos upside down. So the head is like effectively the mallet that and the hedgehogs curled up in a ball are the balls for the game. So this is the Nine of Pentacles. 10 of Pentacles, sorry. Is it the 10? Yes, the 10. Then the Red Queen says, "Have you met the Mock Turtle?" So she calls on the Griffin to take Alice to see the Mock Turtle and to hear his sad story. So even though in the image in the book, the Mock Turtle has a tear in his eye in this picture, but here she's just taken that out because, in fact, when the three of them meet, they have a lot of fun and laughter. They do a lot of singing and dancing and all kind of Three of Cups energy. So she did take the tear out of the Mock Turtle's face here just for this image. And the dances that they're showing her how to do are all to do with what's called the lobster quadrille, whatever the hell that means. Again, it's some sort of an animal race. So they are depicted in the moon card. So I think that's a beautiful image as well. Then the Chariot is Alice running with, this is actually, so this, wait now, hold on out. I'm just going to show you so the Griffin here, right? The brown one, the big winged creature. The Griffin is this same creature in the Chariot card, but it's just like what you call it? Silhouette. That's the word. So this is a silhouette of the Griffin. He takes her on a run at some point for some reason. I don't know, I forget. Then we get to the court. So where they've everyone in court and they're trying to figure out who stole the tarts and to kind of imprison or lop off the head of whoever did it or whatever. So this is the Red King but who is the judge in the court case, but she has just put purple in for the wig instead of white, which is he had a white wig on in the court part of the story, but she's put in purple. Absolutely stunning card. I love those pansies and all that she's put into it. It's really beautiful card. So I love this. So then we have a few cards from the court case. So we've Judgment. The white rabbit keeps blowing the horn and calling people to justice within the courthouse. So I stuck in the justice card here. Again, this image is not from the story at all. She just used her artistic license kind of a thing to make this image for the justice card. I don't think he's even in the court, but she just chose him anyway to put into this image. Wouldn't it be cool if someone created the Discovery of Witches Tarot Oracle deck? Come here, there could be one for all we know. Preferably with the actress from the show for the images. Yeah, absolutely. Heather, get on it. You sort that out. So that's Justice. Then the Two of Swords. I wasn't sure what this was about, but I had forgotten the fact that she again got bigger within the court and kind of started taking up the whole place. And she kind of got fed up with the whole scene inside in the court and came to a kind of Two of Swords moment where she kind of had to make a decision and all the rest of it. And actually, the rabbit is down here. He ran out of the, I don't know, did she say something to him or what? I can't remember, but he ran out of the court. So this is when she came to a point of kind of new clarity and kind of closure, and she just kind of realized that she had a voice herself and she needed to start kind of saying things how it was, you know. And this is when she shouted at the cards, oh, you're just all a bunch of cards, and they morphed into actual playing cards and started hurling themselves at her. So there's this big crazy scene where she's been attacked by all the cards. So that ends book 1, right? So I'm going to try and go through the rest of it because we still have more than half the deck. So the second book starts with her family are having a party. Thanks, Maya. Her family are having a party. She's bored. Her father says, go into the other room and I'll come in a minute and I'll play a game of chess with you. So she goes into the other room, but she's bored waiting for him. She climbs up on the mantelpiece and on putting her hand on the mirror, realizes that she can go through the mirror. So the 8 of Cups is her about to go through the mirror, I should say. Okay. Then, as she's going through the woods, she comes upon the Jabberwock and has to fight him off. So this is a perfect Page of Swords. Then she gets through to, this must be a different garden to the other one because the 9 of Pentacles, there was a lot of flowers in it, but this is actually an image from again, this is an image she put together herself. This isn't an exact image from the story, but this is her talking to all the beautiful flowers in the flower garden. They think that she's also a flower, and again, she has the conversation with him, tell him, no, I'm a human child, and blah, blah, blah. Then the Red Queen meets her again and takes her on this mad high-speed chase through the woods. I think they're escaping the Jabberwock, if I remember correctly. So the 8 of Wands isn't an image from the story, so I put it in here just because of the speed that they were going through the woods. I felt like it was the right place to put this card. I like the box of this edition. Yeah, me too. I was really surprised that it was the version that I didn't think I was getting. I thought I was getting the newer one, but these cards are actually I feel much better to shuffle because I like I said, I've seen people trying to riffle shuffle them in their deck reviews and they couldn't because they just seem that bit more sturdy, the cards, whereas these are just beautiful. I love them. And I love this turquoise border. I love that. I think it's beautiful. So then here we have another prettier depiction of the Red Queen. for the Queen of Wands. I love this image. Then she comes upon those two lunatics. I have to put out a leg because my leg is getting sore. Excuse me there for a second while I move. Um, she comes upon Tweedledum and Tweedledee, who are these twin brothers who have this kind of a toxic relationship, and so she has drawn them with the Jabberwock. And they do, I'm pretty sure that, I mean, they weren't chained up at any point in the story, but I do believe they were running through the woods trying to escape the Jabberwock, so it's not a complete made up image, you know. Then the Seven of Pentacles. Is it Frank? Frank says this is the newest edition. I thought this was, you see, I only saw this deck a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago maximum. So older, I thought it was older reviews that I was watching had this one where that opened at the bottom. And I thought it was newer ones were opening at the side. I don't know. Then, now I actually wanted to read this to you, but I didn't get the book out, so I won't. It would take too long anyway. But I love the poem of the Walrus and the Carpenter. So someone, I think it's the Red Queen, takes her on to meet the Walrus and the Carpenter as well, possibly. So the Seven of Pentacles is the Walrus and the Carpenter. So the poem is about 20. Oh, okay, well, thanks, Frank. The Walrus and the Carpenter poem is about 20 verses long, I reckon. Easily. And they're walking along the beach. They're discussing how there's too much sand and how they'd love to get rid of all the sand. It would be so much nicer. And then they meet the oysters and they say, oh, do you want to go for a walk? Follow us, but we can only take 4 of you because they said, you know, they've 2 hands each. So they can only hold hands with 4 of them. So they said they could take 4 of them with them. But all the baby oysters decided they wanted to go as well. So they all held hands and they all went for a big long walk along the beach with them. They then sat down and having lured all the oysters over, they took out their bread and butter and their salt or whatever they had. And they ate all the oysters. The oysters thought they were only going for a nice little walk, but the Walrus and the Carpenter ate them all. So the poem's absolutely brilliant. I love, love, love the poem. So this is a perfect image for the Seven of Pentacles. It's about, because they put in the time and the effort into luring the oysters to go with them, and then they ate them all. Sorry, 2 seconds out. I want to send a quick text. Because I just heard some noise coming in the door. Then we have the Queen of Cups, which is the White Queen, depicted in beautiful green clothes. Then the Queen somehow turned into a sheep. Alice, I haven't got to this part of the story yet, but the Queen turned into a sheep working in a shop. And next thing, they were in a boat. And the sheep was knitting, and her knitting needles turned into the oars to row the boat. So again, a beautiful image for the Six of Swords. Then she came upon Humpty Dumpty. So the Tower card is Humpty Dumpty falling off the tower, which is perfect. And then the Ten of Swords is perfect for Humpty Dumpty not being all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Shapeshifter. There's a lot of shapeshifters in this. A lot. Then as they're going through the chess game, this is one of the chess pieces for the Four of Pentacles. Again, I think there's a bit of artistic license with this one. I don't think it's an exact image from the story. Then she came across the lion and the unicorn, and there was a lot of fighting in this scene. So the Nine of Wands is the lion and the unicorn fighting, which is a really cool image. Then the next two cards are because she had individual conversations with the unicorn and with the lion. So the Sun card is her. Now she wasn't riding on the lion on the unicorn in the story. So again, this was artistic license for this image. But she did have a conversation with the unicorn. And then she did have a conversation with the lion. So this became the strength card. I think these are cool. I love the yellow background of this. It makes it so kind of, I don't know, 60s or something. Then at the end of that, all that fighting with the unicorn and the lion, there was something to do with a cake, and she was crying because she couldn't cut the cake or something or other. So this became the Queen of Swords. I love that Sun card. I think the unicorn is a nice touch. Yeah, it's really beautiful. I love it. And no creepy baby, as they say. Then there's the Knight of Cups, because there's a lot of because it's a chess game. There's a lot of knights chasing each other and all the rest of it. So here's the Knight of Cups, which is a knight piece inside in a teacup. See you later, Heather. Thanks a million. See you in a few hours. So at 6 p.m. GMT, myself, Heather, Rain, and Karen, aka Care Bear, will all be live together on Rain's channel. So check it out, lads. The Four of Swords is, do you remember there was one, possibly more than one, but at least one knight who kept falling off his horse. So this is the Four of Swords image. Then I have just a few of the knight cards, because again it's going through the chess game. So here's the Knight of Swords charging forward. Here's the Knight of Wands with Alice. The Death card then is also a knight falling off his horse. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. Now, then I put in the High Priestess, because near the end of the story, throughout the second story, she had told the two queens that she met, the White Queen and the Red Queen, that she wanted to be a queen. So near the end of the story, they queened her, and this is the image for the High Priestess. It's also the back of the cards. So I think that's perfect for the High Priestess card, because having gone through all this absolutely crazy doolally stories of the two films, the two stories, she's learned so much about herself. So who better to represent the High Priestess than Alice herself, who now knows so much more than she did before she had these crazy, crazy, crazy adventures. So she's been crowned as a queen. Then the Red and the White Queen decides to throw a party for her to celebrate her being a queen. So the Two of Wands is her sitting down with the Red and the White Queen, trying to make decisions on who they'd invite to the party and all the rest of it. Then at the party, she gets fed up and she whips off the tablecloth off the table, which is, I think this is the most incredible Five of Cups. I just love this image. It's just perfect, isn't it? I love it. Love, love, love. Then the Page of Pentacles is her sitting with Dinah, her cat, on her lap. The King of Swords is, again, one of the chess pieces on the chess game. The Two of Cups, I've heard people complaining about the image, because Two of Cups, as you know, is a kind of a relationship where, come to the next level of a relationship kind of a thing. Whereas she has depicted her with the frog, but she only briefly met the frog outside the Duchess house, where they only had a discussion on how she was going to get into the house. So they didn't have necessarily a Two of Cups relationship at all. But I put it in this part of the story because I often read the Two of Cups as just building up that stronger relationship with yourself. Okay. So because we just had the high priestess, wherever it is, which is her having become the queen, with all the knowledge, then she's learned so much about herself. I just decided to put the Two of Cups card in here. Okay. Just to kind of round out the story. I then put in so there's three cards that are quite similar. So we have the Eight of Cups, which is where she was going through the mirror. We have the Two of Pentacles, which is also her about to go through the mirror. And then we have the Star card, which is her coming through the mirror. So I decided that the Two of Pentacles was at the end of the story where she was at the mirror trying to decide, do I actually want to go back through the mirror to my normal life, or do I want to stay here in this absolutely crazy upside down la la land, you know? So because she looks a bit conflicted there, and the Two of Pentacles is about juggling and trying to make decisions and stuff. So I put it in here just because I thought it fit well with her going, do I want to go back? Do I want to stay here? You know? And then having decided to come back through, she has a hey Lottie. She has this better view of her life, and she's had this kind of healing, and she has hope for the future stepping back through the mirror, you know? Jackie, your insight is refreshing. Love your work. Thanks a million. I had about 20-25 cards gone through myself when I realized that I don't know if you know integrative healing with Sadhana. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I realized she actually had two videos, one for the first story and one for the second story, where she put them in order. So I had a quick look through hers, but a lot of them were the same. But then there was ones that didn't make sense to me, so I just put other ones into places. Like, she didn't put some even in the order at all. She just said, no, they're not images from the deck, so I'm not going to put them in, kind of a thing. Yeah. But so yeah, I just sat down and I spent ages writing them out in an order myself that made sense to me, you know. So last two cards. So she stepped back through the mirror. So when she stepped back through the mirror, she was after coming through a cycle in her life. Okay, she had finished out a cycle with the World card. And then I put the Wheel of Fortune card as the end card because, as you know, in life we go through cycles. They say we go through a new cycle every 7 years. So having been through Wonderland and having been through Looking Glass Land, she's learned so much about herself, so much about others. And she's ready to start a new cycle in her life with all this new knowledge that she's acquired as the High Priestess, as the Queen of Looking Glass Land, etc. The actual story I meant to say of the second movie, which is Through the Looking Glass, is she goes through and she realizes that the red and white kings and queens do not rule their own land because the Jabberwock took over, and they're all terrified of the Jabberwock. And she said, well, if you don't stand up to him and fight him, he's always going to rule your land and you're never going to have your land back. So she goes out fighting the Jabberwock for them. So that's why they then queen her at the end of the story, because she has gotten rid of him. She's had him chained up and put in the dungeon or whatever. And the kings and queens got their Looking Glass land back, you know. So that is all 78 cards in an order that made sense to me for the two stories. Jackie, loving this in the morning with my coffee. Brilliant. Delighted. Thanks everyone for being here. You're absolute legends. I love this deck. I am actually delighted that it's the version that I didn't think I was going to be getting, because like I said, it did make a difference to actually get that book printed out as well. Even though I did print it out, I had it ready to go. But anyway, There you go. I also got this this is the people I ordered from. There's the name of the company, right? I'll actually type it in there for you. Because so thanks to Maya for telling me about these people. They're in Finland. TAROTPUOTI. So if you Google this word, you'll find their website. Shipping from America would have been €35. It was 22 from these people in Finland. But it just meant that getting it from Europe, I didn't have customs and taxes and all that crap. So worked out considerably cheaper than if I got it from America. But I got this lovely little thank you card as well from them, which was really nice. And also I got this lovely little tea bag. So it's lemon, apple, and ginger. So I must make that for myself there now in a minute as well. So this has got to be the best walkthrough of this deck, Jackie. Well done. Karen, thanks a million. That's so nice. Like I said, I know Sadhana did it in 2 parts. She had 2 45-minute videos each, I believe, for going through all the cards. But she had done a lot of extra talking about the cards that kind of weren't original images from the story and why she was leaving them out of the whole lineup of cards and all the rest of it. But I wanted to find a place for all of them within the story. So, yeah. So I was a bit upset when I realized they were going to be glossy cards because I do prefer matte, but they're not so glossy that they actually slide all over the place. They're really nice to shuffle. They did come because of the glossiness and because of the gilding, they're silver gilded. They did come all completely clumped together, but I had to, do you know when you give them a kind of a bend and then you hear them all crackling as they're like separating? So I did have to take a bit of time just to kind of slide them, like I had to like slide one off the next and that kind of thing. But once I had them all separated, I was able to put them in the order to show. This would not be my favorite Empress card. I do prefer full images, but it is a beautiful image at the same time, do you know? But I just prefer a picture of a full person and a background and all the rest of it, you know? Expensive buying cards from the US to the UK. Yeah, even more expensive to Ireland. It's ridiculous. We get screwed here in Ireland, I have to say. They're really good and they have good customer support. Do they, Maya? I didn't actually have to contact him, but I will say filling in the information when I was ordering, you had to put in your phone number and I got a text the second it was shipped and everything. So it was really, really nice. So yes, Shari says very cool deck. It is a really cool deck. Like I said, I had one before, the Barbara Moore one. Incredible. Hey Viviani, incredible book, Barbara Moore book, guidebook. But the cards were very flimsy, being Llewellyn. Images were beautiful, but they just didn't match. They didn't all match. I felt the different card meanings, you know. And there was a lot more thought and effort put into this deck. So look, I just cut the deck and I have the 3 of Cups. So this is me hanging out with you all, having great fun. I love it. So that's the deck, guys. I'm absolutely thrilled with it. So I'm going to log off now in a minute and I'm going to sit and play with it because I've been waiting patiently. I just wanted to get an order first and get the walkthrough done before I'd spent too much time kind of actually looking at it and playing with it and stuff. And this seems to be a good time to go live anyway, when you're all getting up in the morning and you seem to enjoy having your coffee and watching something. So I was delighted. So it's like I get that done now. Now I have to sit down and do a bit of work for the live in 3 hours time with the girls. Don't forget on Rain's channel, Spiritual Rain, we are talking about our favorite cards. And then we're going to be pulling cards for each other, the 4 of us that are doing the live, and then we are going to be doing Mercury retrograde messages for the collective, okay? So don't miss it, guys. 3 hours time on Spiritual Rain's channel. Enjoyed the walkthrough on my first day back to work after the Easter break. Thanks. No problem. I'm delighted you were all here, lads. Thanks a million. So I'm going to sign off now because I need to play with it. Yay. So I'll see you in a while. Thanks a million, everyone.